Got you
Welcome back to
covered.
the Witz and Weiss Show, Talking Humans, every Monday, 2 p.m. Mike, I see you've got a fresh Psycho Bunny T-shirt right there. We were talking about this last time. Did you go out and hit the store? The little what was it? Cyber Monday?
I did it online, and my wife says I screwed up because I look better with a V-neck versus a circle. I have a fat face, and
Mhm.
also she says I look like an old man because I bought the large, and it's a little bit over my shoulder. Knowing that after goes to the dryer a few times, it shrinks down versus
Correct.
like the thin. And after like three or four times, it's so freaking tight. I gotta keep going like this. So I screwed up,
Yeah,
but
that's okay.
it's
No. You know,
comfortable. Look at this.
when it comes down to this brand, it does shrink if you put your shirts in the dryer. By the way, I do not put my t-shirts in the dryer. I hang dry my t-shirts for that exact reason, which is they shrink and in all the wrong ways. So there's a little bit of advice for everyone. Don't put your t-shirts in the dryer.
All right. So what do you mean hang dry them? What does that mean? What do you
So
do with them?
so I get a
You
coat
have like,
hanger and like a nice coat hanger with the thick shoulders, right? Because you don't want the little wire ones because then they leave sort of 2 points in the top of the shoulders, right? When they dry. So you need a
yeah.
nice sort of, round, sort of proper, like invest Amazon. Don't cheap out, come in packs. Get them, and then I get a little line. And what we do is we hang all the shirts on an individual hanger and they dry. You've never heard of this?
No. Maybe I was single for too long.
That's great.
Yes.
All right. I wanted
Yes.
to ask because we're probably not going to be doing another show next week because we are well into the holiday season. I'm actually shutting my office down as of Tuesday next week and giving the team as much time off to relax and recharge. And it's that time of year where we sort of reflect about the year, which what went well, what were my challenges, what did I not do so well. So I wanted to ask you for today's episode and for the audience, as an entrepreneur running a business, you went through a lot this year. I think we all did, pros and cons. Let's talk about not what the wins were, because everyone talks about wins, right? Oh, this year was great. I did this, I hired more people. What were some of the failures or the challenges or the bumps or the obstacles that you faced this year? And what were some of the lessons that came from that?
Great question. That's a wits. That's why we have wits on the show.
This is what I bring to the table.
Well, the thing that pisses me off more than anything is losing clients.
Hmm.
And it really, ever since I started in 1987 in the stock market, I never been able to deal with losing clients. It pisses me off. I take it personal.
Hmm.
So when I look back, because we're now trying to figure out, I have some, well, we were in Colorado, I'm in Florida now, I'm trying to get all this accounting stuff together. And I look back and I was like, there's like a dozen clients that are in the not client list anymore that, I genuinely like these people a lot. And it really upsets me that they're still not doing it because I know the system works. It was kind of a failure to use the system. So there's
Hmm.
a bridge between basically onboarding somebody and giving them what they need to be successful to get the system working for them.
Right.
So that's the part that, I'm continually always looking to get better
Right.
so we can produce more results for more people. No
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, let me ask, like those. So you
yeah.
said there's a handful of clients, say a dozen. Were there similar reasons they either? Because sometimes it's not leaving, sometimes it's like putting on pause, or sometimes it's a budgetary thing. So, like, what were there similar why they all pulled, or were they sporadic
There's
reasons?
two parts.
Okay.
One, it's like, all right, we know if you want to be successful, the way to do it with our program is you teach. So there's a content production that either is easy for people or
Hmm.
it's not.
Hmm.
So from a time standpoint, they never got into the routine, and it's like lifting weights. You're not going to go to the gym and lift bench 250. But
Hmm.
I know because we've had people that are introverts that weren't TED Talk people and weren't authors or speakers that
Hmm.
became amazing at doing video because with the technology, the script, if you do it enough times, you'll just be like, oh, I can bang out a 90-second video in 2 minutes. You
Mhm,
just do
mhm,
it and push it and cut the beginning, cut the end, you're done. So that's one part of it.
mhm,
The second part of it, and I was just on with a woman who's, amazing. And I just realized like the people from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Boston, and maybe
mhm,
Rhode Island, whatever, the Northeast, like we know how to talk. You go to the pizza place, you're waiting for your pizza. Everyone's talking to everybody. It's
mhm,
just we talk, man. We talk. My wife's from London. They don't talk. They don't share their feelings. They don't talk. We talk. So it comes easy. Like the second part of the program is all about there's amazing people on LinkedIn globally. Just talk.
mhm.
So that's the part that doesn't hasn't come easy for some people.
Right.
So those are kind of the two parts.
Main areas. So onboarding your clients in regard to getting them using your system seamlessly, because like taking anything on can be a little overwhelming sometimes, and it's an exercise. You're right. I mean, look, I think the one other thing I was going to ask you is from a place of artificial intelligence, like these programs like Jasper.ai. There's a lot of writing that needs to go up with some of these posts as well. Have you thought about part of your services to your clients moving forward, bringing that piece in? So they just need to produce the video, gets into your system. All of a sudden, the captioning, the hashtagging is all done from an AI standpoint.
So a fantastic question, and it's just a new one that just came out that is blowing up
Mhm,
because it's sort of the next generation. But the answer to your question is yes, we do it. We have now US based writers, and
mhm,
I don't. I bought. I'm a software fanatic, so I own 12 AI softwares, like
mhm,
annual. I mean, lifetime subscriptions, and I like them. They're good tools to get like 50 to 70% of the way there, but
mhm.
at the level that we're dealing with, we have US based writers, and if they're
Yeah,
using it, I don't mind. Like if they're
right.
doing their 50 or 60% and they're using it, good for them. I
Mhm,
just care about the finished product. And so we have great writers now and a great process in the system that we're banging
mhm,
out these 850 word posts, super high quality. And I know that they're good, not because I say so or the client likes them, because the people on LinkedIn like them. That
mhm,
whole problem, empathy, cost of action. So that's one thing that we've done. And so we have a lot of clients that are now taking us up on that. And the beautiful thing about that as well is that those pieces that get created can be used everywhere else. So
mhm,
you can use them for two pieces a week on your LinkedIn. I mean, your email marketing and Facebook, whatever. The next thing that's about to come out, which also I've been working on for a long period of time, is me being able to interview someone for 30 minutes a month.
mm,
And I'm involved to make sure that we're pulling out 8 amazing segments. And it's done on Riverside.fm, which you and I have spoken about that software. It's all
mhm.
4K, 2 tracks for video, 2 tracks for audio, and then that's it. They're done. So then I take that, it goes to my video editing team, and which are amazing video editors. We're going to chop it up into the 8 90-second videos, and then we're going to take that and give it to the writing team because we've got the topics in there. They just need to be pulled
Right.
out and
You could also
written.
just transcribe it and then give it to the writing team, and they could edit it.
Yes, that's what we do. Transcribe it, and then like we don't really do a lot of this because we're just focusing on LinkedIn, but a lot of my clients like you are on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook, and those stories and those shorts are killing it. So this company crushes it being able to do those 10-second things with beautiful branded frames with the words popping. Like I mean, personally, I don't do it, but I have a lot of clients that do it. So we actually, from that 30 minutes, can
Mhm.
do everything. And then not only can we take care of the posting on LinkedIn and do that job, but we can actually post it out to all their other social media platforms as well. So
Super cool.
that's brand new. That's been the writers took me a year to figure out the program where I'm like, all right, like I'm not going to be embarrassed if I turn this piece around to a client. And I test everything on myself. This also took me a year because, there's a lot of people that can edit video. You just cut in, cut out, cut in and out. They'll do it great. But to be able to give them something where they're smart enough to figure out where the talking points are. Um,
That's the biggest challenge. I find that in my own content, which is like, if you're not involved in the call it creative and the direction, the individual, the editor might just miss some of those key talking points, or they might pick different talking points, right? So yeah, it's important to be involved in that creative
yeah.
process.
So
Cool.
I know that we're going to jump off in a little bit. So the thing that didn't work, which I can't stand, is losing clients. And
Hmm.
it's like a puzzle. I just keep evolving and trying to fill in the gaps where there are those challenges.
Yeah.
So that's that. And then I also shared those services. Now, flipping the question around on you, Witz.
Hmm.
Witz.
I was about to say, which fuck up this year should I talk about?
Oh my gosh, I know.
Right.
That's
No,
the
I was thinking.
nature of what it's an absolute nature of what we do. And if you don't take
Mhm,
yourself too serious, then
mhm.
it's also part of the puzzle. That's fun.
Yeah. There are a few key mistakes that I think I made this year, which became very abundant and super not abundant, became very clear to me. The first mistake that I sort of, might be sort of break it down a little bit, but without me realizing this, and just because we're creatures of habit, I started to go back to running the business and making certain decisions that I would have made before the pandemic that aren't going to work. In other words, you end up sort of repeating the past, right? And I think, why did that happen? Because there's been this big sort of wait and see approach for things to come back to normal, and that was my big mistake this year. The other mistake that I think I made this year, and I've battled with this for years, is selling, not wanting to sell. And I
Mm,
got this weird thing about it, which is I believe so strongly in what we do, and the work needs to be so pure that we shouldn't sell it. But it's a fucking mistake, because if we change the word from sales to communicating it, to promoting it, to sharing it, to building it, to delivering it, that requires a little bit of, call it, confidence to sell, right? What I mean by selling is the cold calling, the outreach, the closing, the asking for business, the this, the that, right? So those were two things that I realized, that, like, one, I have to get a grip on it, and two, I need to lean into it a little bit, right? And I swear to God, the second I made that switch, Mike, the second, like, 90 days ago, 60 days ago, I've generated more business and sales in pipeline for January than I've had in the last, call it, quarter and a bit. Right.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
It's one of the tough things, particularly as a business owner and entrepreneur. Like if you don't have, like, say, a sales team, as a larger organization does with I think a lot of good CEOs are always selling, but for like you and I,
Hmm.
there's this balance between, okay, I got to be selling,
Hmm.
because I'm gonna bring in the right deals and the good deals, and then if I move away from that to develop something or this, then there's a lull, and it's like, oh, I got to sell. There's a lull. There's a sell. I got to sell, and it's the step before. Um, I think the crucial step of getting ourselves out of the bottleneck of the business,
Hmm.
but it's a hard step
Hmm.
because I've been doing digital marketing since 2005, and being able to get enough consistent leads to come in where you can actually fill the pipeline of one person and then two people, it's not an easy step. you
Hmm.
know you've spent a lot of money throughout the years on ads and different things like that, and working with different agencies, and you know why don't you share your experience about that?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I think, when it comes down to marketing and ads and funnels, let's just say the last 4 years, right? So in the beginning of the pandemic, I got into funnels. I mean, that was a quick $50,000 spent in a blink of an eye in order to generate the business, right? And then you learn real quick, like, hey, that's only 10% of it. Now, what you got to do is you got to spend a fortune amount of money of getting people into your funnel, and that takes time and right. And I think at the end of the day, to your point, you can get lost in the noise if you're not careful when it comes down to online marketing. I think you said it to me, which was the money I'm going to have to spend just to get my ad out on Facebook, in between the Tony Robbins, the Gary V's, the Ed Milet's, the money I'm going to have to spend is insane, right? Because what they're spend on those is huge, right? So the digital ad space is really not for me, right? Unless we're going to try to take a little bit of different model. My business has always been a lot of B2B, right? So it's a lot of client relationships and client management. So yeah. But let's flip that question. What do you what do you
When
what
you're
are you going
saying
to do?
B2B, B2B, B2C, so being
You
able
just
to put a course up and have 1,000 or 2,000 people come through, that's B to C, consumer.
correct,
That's very competitive because you
correct,
do have so many people that are digital marketers that have terrible courses out there selling a bunch of crap, but they're great at marketing. And they
right.
don't have the overhead because they're not facilitating. They're not
Hmm.
responsible for outcomes. So they get very good at basically running ads. And
Hmm.
they're great. They're very good copywriters. They're very good, people with numbers and data. And then they're on the pulse
Hmm.
of the front of that system because the back of the system, in most cases, in many cases, it doesn't matter. They just want to sell shit. And if
You know,
that's your only objective is to sell shit, you either have to get very good at it or you don't have a
right,
business.
right.
That's a big
It,
difference.
you just said there's a lot of guys and girls out there that are running and hawking these programs and stuff, and they're shit. I cross them every day. I'm in the industry. I interview these sometimes big thought leaders on my podcast, and I'm like, I don't get it. There's no substance there. Everyone's saying, but why is everyone beelining to buy the $99 program, the $299, etc.? And that's what you said. They're incredible at copywriting and marketing and moving along.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, that was my big reflection for this year, which is, the outcome of it is I have a responsibility to sell, because if I'm not selling, the business isn't doing what it needs to do, and the business looks after a lot of people, right? So feeds a lot of people. So that's my ultimate sort of responsibility, which is not part of my leadership in the business. Is I need to lead sales, and if I'm not going to, people are going to be jeopardized. So that was a big thought. And
Mm.
two, if you're not careful, and if you're not aware, and if you're not conscious, you could end up making the same mistakes from the past without even realizing it, because your decisions and your choices are driven from what you've done, what you're familiar with, what you're comfortable with, right? So you need to take the risk to do something different, right? Um, Obviously, with assessment, I think that's important. But yeah, that's it. That's it for today, my friend. That's my big takeaway.
Okay. Is there a flashing yellow light that pops up that at some point you realize, oh, I'm doing the same thing over again? Like,
Yeah. I don't know if it's as clear as that. I think it comes from reflection. I think for me, I spend a lot of time inward. I wouldn't use the word meditate, but along those lines, a lot of deep thought, a lot of reflection, a lot of insight. It's in those moments where I'm like, ding, I'm like, holy shit, right? I'm doing the same thing I did 3 years ago, but it just looks a little different, sounds a little different, and it's 2022, but it's the exact same sort of pattern and cycle. So we have to ask ourselves a simple question: if it worked, how do we replicate it? If it didn't work, how do we make sure we catch it so we don't do it again? Right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because, and I'll just wrap it up because I know we both got to go. We love you, our audience. Next year, we are committed to having a lot more of you on with us, Witz and Weiss, and just talking either business and we got to get some into more spiritual topics. I like when we get into those. Um, and overcoming limiting beliefs and obstacles on a personal level. I love hearing people's
Mhm.
stories. But the thing is, you know, going back to my early days as a stockbroker, like you're making $5 an hour, and the thing they teach you is just replicate what the your mentor's doing,
Mhm.
and then every mentor, when they pick a stock, say, thankfully I only worked for places that pick quality stocks like GE or whatever,
Right,
but
right, right.
literally it would take like 2 or 3 weeks to do all the research and write up this selling script. And the selling script would be 10 pages, 15 pages, and objections. And then, they would be selling, and they would always have it in front of them. They would always follow the script. And then I got my license and I started doing it. And then inevitably, you're so good at, say it's IBM. After like 60 days, you've opened up 10 or 20 new accounts and you got it down. And that script then goes on the side of the table over there. You're feeling good about yourself. Standing up, you're doing all the right actions. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks go by. And instead of opening up, 5 accounts a week or whatever it was, you're at half. And then you realize that magic script is sitting on the edge of the desk.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is that formula works, but you get so bored or whatever the reason is, you start going rogue on yourself. And it's interesting because when every Thursday, we're doing these meetings with the clients, and like, there's so much stuff that like worked for me that I'm not doing today. Like, it would come up. I'm like, we were doing that 2 years ago, that same strategy. Like, why aren't we still doing that?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
not always about anything new, right? Sometimes, and that's why I said before, we got to know what works and how to replicate it and recognize when it's not and make those adjustments. It's very true. Very true.
Very interesting.
All right, my friend, why don't you wish the audience the best over the holiday season?
December 12th. Yes, that's it. We've got a couple weeks left. Hopefully everyone's going to end the year stronger than you began. The next couple weeks are, it's a lot of pressure to fill the year end, but also holidays and getting pulled in different directions. So just be kind on yourself. There's only 2 weeks left, so not much is going to change, but just be kind to yourself and recognize that when you look back, you did bust ass and you did most of the things right. No one's perfect, and kind of enjoy it. And, next year, I'm very pumped for next year. Interest rates are all over the place. We got a crazy economy, recession, not a recession. You just got to sharpen the pencil, and you just got to make sure that you keep evolving. And if it's going to be a little tougher economic environment, we'll just get better. Right. And we got to just push through and stay on the front edge, the leading edge. And wishing you, a great 2 weeks, whatever holiday you're celebrating. We're going to be lighting a bunch of candles here, and also celebrating Christmas because my wife's dad wasn't Jewish, so we got both things going on, which is going to be exciting. My wife's birthday, oh my God! Amazing. So I got a lot of
celebration, lots of reasons.
Her
to
love language, and it's very high pressure for me. Her love language is gifts. And that's the lowest on my entire spectrum. Like, I don't even give two shits about gifts. I always screw it up, man.
Yeah, well, it's not the actual gift. It's the exercise that you put in to think about what she wanted and going out to do it and put in the effort to go out and get it and then come back and share it. So.
Yes. All right. So that's my wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for an amazing year.
Yes, to the audience, if you enjoyed today's episode, a little chat between me and Mike, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to share. We will see you on the other side of 2022, 2023, and taking off from Mike's thought about kindness. This is a reminder not just to enjoy the holidays, but we all need to put in a little more exercise and effort to be kind and nice, because the world has been pretty fragile over the last couple of years, and all it takes is a little bit, or some of us, to put in that extra effort to be a little bit conscious, a little bit nice, a little bit kind, to hopefully have a positive ripple effect and to make this world a little bit of a better place. I wish all of you health and happiness, and we will see you in 2023.